Hello and welcome. It's yet another day, the weekend edition of the show called The Morning Brief. Your perfect morning start, as we say, is a community show. Thank you for joining us. I'm Jeffrey Uzoma, and of course, I can't forget to say this, else some people by my left and around the world may come for me. Happy International Women's Day.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
I did it.
I meant to go next, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Next.
Do I say my name or say Happy International Women's Day first? Please
in whatever order, Kaya.
Whatever order. I'm safe, right?
You're safe.
Okay, I'm Kaya Okikulu. But aside that, Happy International Women's Day.
Thank you, Kaya.
To you and to you. I mean, every day is International Women's Day.
Thank you, Kaya.
Today we're just pushing that up a notch higher. But hey, Bukola, you look beautiful, by the way.
Thank you very much. It's a feminine color. And, you know, guys, what would the morning brief be without you guys? Incomplete. And what would the world be without our men? Incomplete.
Wow.
Without leadership, without direction. But hey, what would the world be without our women, without the partnership, without color, without all the fun times? And that's why I guess women are saying this year, invest in women and accelerate progress. Good morning and welcome to the Morning Brief. I am Bukola Koka, and happy International Women's Day to all the beautiful women out there. All women are beautiful, by the way. And guys, I was going to ask you.
The answer is yes.
The answer is
No,
it's okay.
no, Kadi and Jeffrey.
Yeah, you have it.
You're all clear on your WhatsApp status, but not yet on your Instagram, Facebook status. I haven't seen Mrs. Okikiolu. I haven't seen Mrs. Uzongo. So you have 2 hours.
We take social media police this morning. SMP and GP.
You have 2 hours.
TMB police.
Of the morning brief, after which I want to see you celebrating.
So
your
it goes in phases.
Captain.
You will say, you send a message, you can do DP, you can post on social media, you can just spring up a surprise later in the day, pretend like you've forgotten, and then maybe later send money.
You must not forget.
Something
I am the
is in the
social media
works.
police today.
Something is in the works.
She means it. Bukola has been.
I know.
She has her agents all around checking.
I know. But hey, I told Bukola that today's show, we're just here because we had to come to work. If not, we will not be here. It's International Women's Day. If we had a way to put 2 ladies here to join and do the show, we'll just be sitting somewhere and just let them do their thing. But we're just here as a support system to ensure that Bukola has a great show. So you're going to see more Bukola today. It's deliberate so that there will be peace.
Am I going to collect your salary too? Because
I saw that.
That's part of the advocacy for women. Increased
to
income.
collect men's salary?
No.
Oh, okay. I just want to be sure.
How do you not buy the gifts?
Equitable income, yes.
Right.
So maybe you want to share something with me.
Oh, well. Let's see how that plays out.
Part of your job this morning.
Well, we expect it to be a very fun show, so you can be part of it. Start sending those messages on WhatsApp and on, post on X, and let's talk about women as much as possible. Hey, but what do we have for you today on the program? Let's bring you up to speed. Now, for a moment, just close your eyes. Yes, I mean that. And imagine a world without women. Now, what do you see? Okay, I don't know what you see, but I know what I see. As the world marks International Women's Day, we go beyond the complexities of the feminine composition to savor the very blessings and beauty they bring to a world in need of them and how they accelerate progress. Gentlemen, in case you're here, thank you for being here, but today it's an all-women affair.
Yes, indeed it is, and we're going to milk and savor every moment of the day. Well, on to another one. It is counterproductive and literally planning against yourself as a unit, a community or a nation if you deny women the opportunity to live their dream. In fact, giving their almost equal population and sometimes more, society truncates productivity by limiting women. And so today on the Morning Brief, we'll speak with women who are building societies in their respective spaces.
I hope you've opened your eyes already. That's not all we have for you on the show. Plus, how about we condense all of that conversation into some meaningful melody from a soul ginger, this time around a singer, who takes us on a journey to importance of beauty and music. Well, I bet you don't want to miss that moment. So, ginger from a singer.
Maybe ginger from a soul singer. But don't forget, post on X. Hashtag CTV Morning Brief, as well as on WhatsApp. Bring those messages. And today especially is International Women's Day. So we want the WhatsApp and the social media, the X post and all of that to be flooded. That's the number. So you could do something for us pretty quick, and our guys at the back end will help us. You can send a message, a video message, just admiring your wife, eulogizing her. Just say something beautiful, not beyond 30 seconds, so that we can take as much as possible on the program. So hey, just like we did for Language Day, let's do for the Women's Day right here on the show. It's going to be beautiful.
Absolutely.
I see that coming.
Pregnant with promise.
A lot of it. But hey, all of that will come.
I don't mean the other pregnancy.
Well, what is going on?
Let's ask Coyote.
Okay, I don't want to go there. Guys, we'll be back after this break to bring you your top stories. Join us again. Top on the brief this morning is a disturbing development where parents of pupils in Kuriga community of Chikun local government area of Kaduna State are still in shock and trying to make sense of what could be going on with their children who are in the hands of bandits after they attacked the government primary school. A resident tells Channels Television that the head teacher is among those affected and abducted. Meanwhile, the state governor, Senator Ubasani, has visited the parents of the victims to sympathize with the people and assures them of the safe release of the children.
We are doing our best. I'm going to work with the community leaders. I want to work with the traditional leaders here, as well as the youth, to ensure that every child return back home by the grace of God. I discussed with the National Security Advisor. He has assured me they are also working, and I've also spoke with the GOC Women Mechanized Division. He has also assured me they are also trying. Here we are with the Commissioner of Police and the Director SSS, and all of them are working closely with Kaduna State government under my leadership. No child will be left behind. All of them will come back home by the grace of God, inshallah.
We really pray for the safe release of those innocent children. And to the unsatisfactory explanation into suspected fraudulent spendings to the tune of 1.2 billion naira in the Rural Electrification Agency that has now cost the managing director and 3 others their jobs. MD CEO Ahmad, ED Corporate Services Olani Netufo, ED Technical Services Baraka Soju, and ED Rural Electrification Fund Sadato Balgore have been suspended indefinitely following approval by President Bola Tinubu over alleged infractions in financial activities in the last 2 years. As revealed in an investigation, though, some funds have also been recovered by the anti-graft agency. Now in their place, the president has approved the appointment of 5 individuals led by a new acting managing director, CEO Abba Aliyu, with a charge to ensure transparency and accountability in the discharge of their duties. Well, also, unfortunately, over 200 women from Borno State will not be celebrating today's Women's Day as they are still in bandits' captivity following their abduction about 2 weeks ago. Perhaps is why the House of Representatives is asking the appropriate authorities to ensure their immediate release to avoid the Chibok school girls' experience. The call is premised on a motion of urgent national importance by Honorable Zainab Gimbo.
Also note that the abduction took place last Sunday the 3rd when the women went to fetch firewood in the bush for domestic and commercial purposes. The insurgents freed the old age but abducted about almost 300 even young girls and boys. The House also resolves to task all security agencies to rescue all abducted victims.
We're not done with the House. They've also passed a resolution to investigate the spending of 200 billion naira on the 2023 suspended population census.
The House therefore resolved to mandate the Committee on Population to invite the Director General of the National Population Commission to explain details of how the 200 billion meant for the suspended 2023 population and housing census was spent and report back within 4 weeks for further legislative action.
Now, in continuation of the trial of the former Central Bank Governor Godwin Emefiele at the FCT High Court, a forensic audit has confirmed that the document used to request the payment of 6.2 million naira for election observers were forged. The FCT witness, Mr. Bamiye Merigel, informed the court that the following forensic analysis of the disputed document, he discovered that there was a clear evidence of forgery of signature and the seal of execution were different from the original. According to him, the signature were not those of former President Muhammadu Buhari or ex-Secretary General of the Federation, Boss Mustafa. The two documents, Presidential Directive on Foreign Observer Election and Presidential Directive on Foreign Observer Election, tendered in evidence, were admitted in evidence by the trial judge, Justice Muazu Hamza. And same with the judiciary, the chairman of the body of benches, Justice Mary Peter Odile, has condemned the practice of lawyers addressing the media when fully robed, describing such practice as unethical. She further emphasized it is wrong to do so, particularly after court proceedings, and also frowns on tendency for media trial, which hampers the concept of fair hearing.
Lawyers who engage in media trials sway with public opinion and potentially skew the trajectory of justice, sometimes turning the people against the courts. It is unethical for lawyers to be addressing the media when fully robed, particularly after court sittings, as we have seen in recent times.
Now, conversations are ongoing to bring an end to the menace of crude oil theft that hampers national growth. That assurance is coming from the chairman of the Crude Oil and Management Theft of the National Economic Council and Governor of Imo State, Senator Hope Uzodimma. It says everyone needed to be on the table to achieve the goal of ending crude oil theft is being consulted.
We've been able to do a lot of fact findings. We've made a lot of consultations. We spoke to critical stakeholders, and we are beginning to see light at the end of the tunnel. It is our hope at the end of this assignment, we'll put together a report that will be very bold and courageous, that will be useful to NEC, and if implemented, will stop this monster called crude oil theft, so that our natural resources endowed by God, oil and gas, will be able to tap into it and develop our country. Of course, you know the implication of increasing production and reducing losses is that we will become more solvent. Our naira will also be stronger, and the foreign exchange, access to foreign exchange easier. And the consequence of that is that the cost of living will come down and prices will begin to come down. Inflation will also be reduced.
In business, while the domestic equities market sustains its bullish run, the volatility of the global crude oil price is some way affecting the price of commodities in Nigeria. Renowned economist Bismarck Rewani shared this view, projects that the price of crude oil will hover between, say, $78 to $81 next week due to the weaker dollar as the U.S. Fed's plan to cut interest. He says these movement impacts on commodity prices in the domestic market.
There are many variables that go into price of oil, but for us in Nigeria, what we are looking at today, the most important variable, apart from the price of crude, is the price of diesel. Diesel, as of this morning, was going at about 1,451. It kind of always kind of, it's a proxy mainly for one, the deregulated price of petrol, and two, for the value of the Nigerian currency. When the Nigerian currency weakens, the price of diesel depreciates. When it appreciates, the price of diesel actually increases or reduces. So that is one thing that we need to watch, and that has a knock-on effect onto price inflation and food inflation because the logistic costs come in. As you can see from the slides there, you can see that the price of domestic commodities have actually spiked again on the fear that the Naira is about to fall. Our view is that the Naira is not about to crash. The Naira is going to be creeping back, and we see some slight appreciation in the horizon. If that slight appreciation actually manifests itself, I think that you are going to see those prices begin to trend downwards.
And away from business, besides the certainty that he will be squaring up against his old foe, Donald Trump, in November ahead of the Super Tuesday, President Joe Biden is set to announce that the U.S. military will construct a port in Gaza to get more humanitarian aid into the territory by sea. That disclosure from a senior government official shows that the temporary port will increase the daily amount of humanitarian assistance to the Palestinians, but this will not include U.S. troops on the ground in Gaza. Meanwhile, according to the United Nations, a quarter of the population is on the brink of famine. In hours, it will be kickoff time for the Falconets to commence their title defense against Morocco in the African Games. The national under-20 women's team are in they're in quite a very tough group. That's Group B, that includes Senegal and Cameroon, as they look forward to retain their gold medal that they won in Rabat, Morocco in 2019. Coach Chris Danjuma has already picked 20 players to fly the country's flag in a women's football event. Well, on International Women's Day, those are the stories we've been tracking for you, and of course, we'll ship conversation later on the show. Bukola joins me as we find out exactly what you are saying. Always bringing to me my technology, as I like to call it. Yes, indeed, your
very important technology.
Very important technology.
Speaking of very important, on International Women's Day, sadly, we're mourning the kidnap of 200 school pupils in Kaduna, and in the same breath, the abduction of about 300 women in Borno State. And I wonder if there's deep reflection on these events, because when insurgents, carry out heinous acts, there's always an undertone to it. This could be debatable, but it was unusual when kidnappers abducted or murdered, rather, traditional rulers in Ekiti. So, when they're doing such things on a day as, 24 hours ahead of a day as significant as International Women's Day, it calls for reflection. And wonder what the undertone is. So perhaps authorities should look into it.
Absolutely. And what is worrying is not just that they are kidnapping, it's the fact that the number of people they kidnap in one fell swoop. It's just disturbing and unacceptable. And that's why we are calling on the government yet again to do what they can as a government to protect the people. How do you move such number of innocent children? And
with
nobody. There's a lot that has to be done. So I don't know. Let's just do what we can as a government, because now people say is government. So government is all of us. But the people in authority that should take this responsibility directly are the ones we should be talking to. So, but Bukola, let's find out what the people are saying on X.
Well,
and
that forms, of course, one of the subject matters on X, but we're starting on a different note. This time around, they're commenting on the revelations from the continued trial of a former CBN governor. And the first one is from Grant Zeronye. I hope I got your name correctly. And they say it's still a befuddlement to me how Emefiele, a man I knew from his days in Zenith Bank as an astute banker, got derailed and lost his way. Well, he's still on trial.
Yeah.
So we'll wait for him to be declared either innocent or guilty.
Absolutely.
So we must be moderate in our commenting on these matters.
Absolutely. So basically, you know, it's about that $6.2 million that they say the certificate, the signature was forged. So it's still a continuation of trial. We'll get to find out exactly what happened. Let's read. Let's find out what Mazi Chuks is saying. That's a good step. The forensic experts should do more work by telling the court who forged the signatures. They may start the screening from the people who were very close to the then president, Muhammadu Buhari. You
know, and some would say that the forensic expert confirming that indeed the signatures were forged could be subjective. What's the veracity of his claim to confirmation? Could another forensic expert come and give a different verdict on the same signatures? So the investigators must do a thorough job.
That's why they are called, there are different levels of witnesses. They are star, they are expert witnesses. So when there's an expert witness, like a medical doctor and all of this, so these are the things they do. If you're in doubt, maybe bring another person. But for the ones that the EFCC has presented, he has said what he has to say is for the defense now to put up a case, whether otherwise, and all of that.
Maybe this is a tighter one.
This is James Agada saying, let us assume it was forged. Who forged it? Who presented it? Who validated it? Who collected the physical cash? Or Emefiele did all of this for a miserly $6.5 million. And it's disturbing to look at $6.5 million, not Naira. $6.5 million as small money. No, that's not small. That's not small by any standard.
But not by any standard.
It's public money.
Musalbiar, and it comes with some numbers. He says, I can't believe that Emefiele is the only one who benefited from this loot. He's still innocent until proven guilty. Many people are in it. I don't know why Emefiele refused to mention the beneficiaries of the loot. Well, do you have counter evidence to prove that?
T-Talk says Emefiele this, Emefiele that. Agreed. Can we start mentioning and publishing the names of everyone involved in the smooth process of running the economy? Obviously, he didn't do it alone. Okay.
Well, let's go to the next theme, which is the kidnap of 200 pupils from Kaduna and teachers as well. Arami says, oh God, I thought we have gotten past this bandit of a thing. I pray they will be fine. And that's our prayers at this time.
Eunice Vince too, that's your handle, says they've started again. What's going on in this country called Nigeria? The government needs to be asked some serious questions because this is getting out of hand. That's our job. We're asking those questions this morning.
Well, and Real Life Maid says this is now becoming normal in the north. Every time bandits go to school and abduct students successfully, I have never heard that an attempt was botched. Sad.
Kamal with the handles Potence 89 says there's no way that these things are happening without the involvement of the armed forces. Now, that's an allegation. We cannot verify that. No, not at all. We can't disparage or impugn on the integrity of the armed forces. Moving 200 persons by foot or vehicles to secure location in the bush, which takes hours or days without the intervention of police, is obviously a joint venture. Still speculated, we must say.
Emambro says 200 pupils carried in a bus, driven through the town, down to bush parts. No villagers saw them nor raised alarm. The pupils remained calm as if they were going on an excursion. Please, do all these things appeal to logic? Something is definitely wrong somewhere. Chai, Nigeria, my country. You know, and this is a critical post, you know, and is instructive for the authorities.
It's quite difficult to figure out mentally how this happens. But Boss Baby says, and the sad news continues. Imagine what the families are going through, not to talk of the victims. Innocent kids, these innocent children. All right, Bukola, you have the next one.
And it's on another another theme, Nigerians are happy about a development from the Identity Management Commission, NIMC. It appears you can now make modifications with ease without having to be physically present at any of their offices. And this is what Ademola starts off this with. They say, good development. No more extorting and delaying from NIMC office for complaint and change of data.
I like it. Niger compatriot said NIMC is making things easier in all ways, in every way, I guess want to say for Nigerians every day. If you want to modify your NIN data, is simple can be.
David Offor says things are really changing at NIMCNG. It's tagging the commission. No more wahala in modifying your personal children's data from the comfort of your home. You can do so yourself. Very commendable.
Adule says the way NIMC has set up a team that is dedicated to quickly resolving all concerns related to data modification is amazing. And that's what we do. Praise when they need commendation. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Okay, Chukwu Bartholomew Chidebere says the ability to modify your personal data or data of your children is the highlight of this NIN data modification for me. From the comfort of your mobile phone, you can self-serve yourself via, and they put the HTTP link there. Of course, you can find it as well.
Absolutely. So, Naza _Kali says NIMC's commitment to simplifying processes for Nigerians is commendable. Utilizing self-service steps outlined in the flyer makes modifying NIN data straightforward and accessible, ensuring convenience for users. Absolutely.
This next one, Jeffrey, is about the continuing, well, I call it spat now, between that tomato manufacturing company and the social media user who went on social. It's still on, and posted a negative review about the product of the company. So it's Erisco versus Chioma Egodi. This is what Jamila starts off by saying about this conflict. Businesses around the world get negative reviews from their customers every day. They don't go about bullying them for their comments. The Nigeria Police Force is treating a negative product review as a cybercrime offense. Erisco took this to another level. I have never seen this kind of thing in my entire life.
Wow. Okay, this is AFAM with a couple of numbers, 515-265-66. I know Mr. Erisco went a little bit too far, but that's the only option he has. So has a choice. Wanted to say that's the only option he has, or
to choose from.
Yeah. Let's not see this case with a sentimental emotion. It is what it is.
Our AFAM, same person, says, to be sincere on this matter, Chioma is wrong. Her review is a dangerous one. If the tomatoes is that sugary, NAFDAC wouldn't have given Erisco license to produce those products. Let's be sincere, if it was your company, I believe many of you would do worse to her. Well, it looks like different views from the same handle.
So there's a lot that this has to do with the experts and the authorities. NAFDAC in this case will have to do what they have to do. So let's leave it to the experts to do their job. But it's okay, you share your views. Our responsibility as a community show is to ensure that whatever it is you're saying, we'll bring it to the fore and amplify it so that everyone else can make sense of the situation. Hey, but don't stop coming with those, I almost said tweets, those posts on X. And today is International Women's Day, so it's an all-women affair. I told Bukola, she's in charge of the show. Bukola, Kaide and I are just here as support system. So send your videos, send all of them on X, send it on WhatsApp. Let's get to hear what you want to say about those lovely women in your life. Could be your mother, your sister, your wife, your fiancé, your girlfriend, all of that. We'll see you after this break. Join us again.
Welcome back to the morning brief. Now, I checked. There is yet an unclear, maybe an undetermined data about the number of women journalists practicing in Nigeria. But what's clear and determined is that there are many women as competent, as a professional, as their male counterparts in the journalism profession. And since International Women's Day is a day dedicating to promoting the cause and the rights of women from that day in the 1800s in New York, where charity begins at home, as they say. So we're starting from home, looking at the progress of Nigerian female journalists. And we have one of such, in fact, an inspiration, a veteran in every sense of the word, joining us this morning to review our progress so far. Let's welcome Mrs. Bimbo Oloyede. Welcome to the program, Ma.
Thank you very much, Bukola. It's lovely to be here.
It's very nice to have you on the show.
Yeah, gentlemen, I can't leave you out.
Okay, it's okay. We can take the back seat.
It's okay.
No, they're not taking the back seat. So let's start with the progress women are making or not making, as it's a debate, so to speak. The ratio says, you know, it's 10-2 as far as leadership in newsrooms are concerned. And in fact, another one by the Wole Soyinka Center for Investigative Journalism put the data to be 25% of women leaders in the newsrooms to the men's 75%. I wonder what you think about what's responsible for this. Is it the lack of numbers, or the women are not showing up their competence and professionalism so that they can also have a table in the newsrooms?
Well, I think that it certainly hasn't got anything to do with numbers. I suspect that you might have a 50-50. You may even have slightly more women than men, especially in the electronic broadcast field. So it's got nothing to do with the numbers. I also don't think it has anything to do with competence, because it's clear we have seen, you know, women who have done really very well in the field of journalism, whether it's print, whether it's online, whether it's in the broadcast field. So it doesn't have anything to do with competence either. It may have something to do with tradition. Tradition in the sense that we are, as a society, used to the idea that the men lead and the women, you know, take, well, let me say the women follow, okay? And so perhaps it might be a bit difficult to get over that particular kind of mindset. But numbers, no. Competence, no. Ability, no. Creativity, no. We are equal.
Guys.
So what could be missing in between? Because with all the things you have listed, that should actually get them a seat on the table, and a significant one. So you mentioned the fact that there's the culture barrier, perhaps. So maybe we'll begin to talk about other barriers that may be off the radar that you can see. What are they that you've seen?
Off the radar and maybe under the table. Yes, perhaps the fact too that most private media organizations, not all, but the majority of private media organizations are also owned by men. I think if we had maybe more individuals, more females owning broadcast and journalistic enterprises, perhaps that might give us a little bit more of a space at the table. But even that is not a guarantee, to be perfectly honest, because we have seen situations where women were leaders in other spaces, and that did not necessarily open the door for other women to join them to sit at the table. So it's a bit of a tricky thing. I suppose also because you know I mentioned the word tradition. The fact that women have a traditional role to play, a traditional, a cultural, a societal role also to play. It may not be, if I use the word expedient, you will understand what I mean. It may not be expedient for you to report a story or rush to a location somewhere when you are 8.5 months pregnant, for instance. All right? So there are opportunities that are bound, but they are grabbed by men because at certain points in the life of a woman, she's actually not physically, if not mentally, physically, she's not available to do the job that she's expected to do. So it is possible that at those times, maybe decisions are being made. So she's not there to defend herself, even if her job speaks for her. You know, there are times when you've also got to show up if you're going to grab that particular position. So that could be part of it too. I don't know. It's a kind of catch-22, really.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think it's very interesting how you brought all of these factors together. Makes a lot of sense if people were not thinking about that already. But I'd like to step back a bit because I know a lot of people are seeing you on television. They're like, wait a minute, guys, let's wait on this International Women's Day. This is the iconic Bimbo Oloyede. The hair is still the same. The look is still the same. She's almost 70 and she looks like she hasn't aged a bit. So for those people who are still stuck in that bubble, really, because it's not every day they get to see you. Well, at some point they will see you every day on television, prime time, delivering the news. But then after a while, you stepped back. So for those who are seeing you for the first time in a long time, naturally they will feel that way. But I just wanted to make that point for people who are sending the messages. Well, let's talk about the day. Do you sometimes feel this may be tokenism, really?
Tokenism, you mean the fact that we have, well, Bukola was saying 25%. I don't...
Or add to that, pardon me, the fact that some say, why International Women's Day one day? I spoke to a lot of people and they say women should be celebrated every day. So don't try to give us, who remembers International Men's Day or Father's Day, except the ones who are faithful. So do you sometimes feel like this may be tokenism?
I don't think it's tokenism. I think that women need to be aware of certain things in society. They need to be aware of themselves, actually, first of all. Sometimes, you know, on a daily basis, you do things, you get up, you go out to work, you take care of the children, you do all these things on a daily basis. And many a time, you don't really stop to think about yourself. So even if it might appear as if it is tokenism, I think it is an opportunity to remind ourselves that that we actually matter, and that and what we do, what we think, how we feel, how we behave, how we respond, is just as important as anybody else. You know, I think we need to have time to reflect, because many a time we don't. So if it is this one day that we can sit down and think about who we are, what we're doing, what is our role, how can we, you know, make a contribution, the feelings, the thoughts, the hopes that you kind of, shall I use the word ginger for today, will last for a little while, you know, and might even dovetail into April and May if you're lucky.
Right.
Yes, you know, so it puts you on a certain kind of pedestal, on a certain kind of platform, and makes you think about things that normally you wouldn't think about. So I really don't see it as tokenism. I think it is even a kind of paying respect to the women who in yesteryears made an effort to ensure that other women had a space, that other women could vote, that other women could sit at this table that we've been talking about. You know, we have short memories, so International Women's Day could really, you know, give us a chance to pay homage to the heroines of history, you know, especially for the women's movement.
Well, I was going to comment on that, but I just reminded myself that I'm one of the presenters on the show and I'm supposed to be asking the questions. But looking at all of the factors that you've listed, do you find that, and I'm asking this because I know that you've had the opportunity to interact with broadcast managers at your senior level, and not just broadcast managers, across board, managers, you know, on the print media, from the print media as well. Do you find that senior media managers need a reorientation, particularly of changing the gender biases such that more women journalists can find a seat at the table of decision making? And in addition to that, do female senior managers themselves need a form of reorientation such that they can help push their juniors a bit further on the leadership ladder?
Yes, I like this question because actually it refers to a cross-section of sectors. I have observed generally that when young professionals, so I'm broadening it, it's not just the broadcast sector now or the journalism sector. Generally, when young professionals come for training and they have a new mindset, they get a new orientation, what I often find is that by the time they go back to their duty posts, there's a limit to which they can actually utilize those new ideas that they've been given. And that new fire in the belly, you know, that they develop as a result of the training, that fire gets quenched pretty quickly because the people who they are working with, those who they want to interact with and share their new knowledge, sometimes are not interested. Sometimes the lack of interest is because they don't know. And sometimes it is simply just that they don't wish to change. They want things to remain as they have been. So my answer to your question is an absolute and affirmative yes. When young people, young journalists, young broadcasters are being trained, it is really important that their senior managers are also receiving training. Because, you know, you just, well, iron is supposed to sharpen iron, right? So if you have a sharp iron and you have a little bit of a rusty iron, it's not going to work. No sparks will fly. So we want a situation where in the newsroom, in journalism, the sparks are flying, you know, right from entry point right up on, you know, to the topmost level. So it is very important that trainings are arranged for senior managers, and they don't have to be done in exactly the same way. And they also, you know, probably have to be done in a bit of a creative way that enables and catches the fancy and the interest of the, you know, the editors at that level, the managers at that level, such that they say, oh, this looks as if it's going to be interesting, you know, let me attend.
There are layers to this conversation. So we're trying to, I like to use the word onion it, even if it's not English. So permit me to use that word. It's a new
verb, to onion.
To onion it, permit me to use it for now. But you said that let's take the conversation beyond the newsroom, which is where I want to take it to. According to my record, to the best of my knowledge, the highest political office a woman has held in the country should be the Speaker. And we know how that ended. And since then, women have not been close to that position. And it's quite sad. So what will work for women, whether it's in the newsroom or in the political space? We've seen some success in the corporate spaces, but when we look at the numbers, it could be more. What will work? A bit of an offensive or a quota system? What will work? Because women have to look for a way to navigate this part. Because we've been talking beyond talk show. Action. Offensive, quota system, or what are the ideas?
will is the first thing. The will for it to work. And then, who is it that has the will to make it work? You know, years ago, when Chief Obasanjo was the president, from my understanding of what happened during that era, he had a personal interest in ensuring that a certain number of women, at least a higher number of women, were represented in government. And so there was no question of we want it or we don't want it. In the same way, President Kigali of Rwanda.
Oh,
Kagame, sorry, yes, of Rwanda, took a decision some years ago. So the question of, because when you talk about quota, maybe you're also talking about affirmative action. The question of affirmative action did not come into it. It was well, I know that he had become a civilian, but it was like a military decree. Women will be represented in this government. So it was beyond anybody's choice. It was beyond anybody's feeling or sentiment or lack thereof. It was an instruction and a decision. And as a result, you had a much higher percentage of women in parliament in Rwanda than affirmative action even prescribed. Okay? So for me, the will has to be there. I think also we may have to persuade men to join us and see the value, the real value in having women in those decision-making positions. I mean, we keep on saying, and it's lip service. We keep on saying that, oh, you know, a bird with one wing cannot fly.
Right.
You know, a plane with one wing cannot fly. But we don't do anything to either construct the second wing or create the second wing. You know, it's just, as you said, a talk shop. So the will has to be there. The people, the men who will take those decisions have to be there. I think also supported by the women who believe, because it is one thing for you to be there, it's another thing for you to believe that other women also need to be there. So for the women who believe that their sisters also should be there. And I think we have to generally see some of the situations in which women find themselves in this country. We have to see beyond statistics. Because, you know, it's all very well for you to say, I don't know what the figures are right now, but X number of women die every day from maternal mortality or from well, maternal mortality, really, you know, childbirth.
Yeah.
It's all very well to say that when you don't know any of those people. But if you know some of those people, it will make a difference to you. It will, you know, it will pinch you where it hurts most. So I think we have to have a deliberate move. We have to have the will. We have to have the men supported by the women, and then that push, that offensive. Yes.
Well, I think it's beyond the fad he for she. There should actually be real he's for she.
Yeah.
Men that actually do the work beyond the holding the signage and putting hashtag he for she.
Mm-hmm.
We've come from some controversy around who is a woman. I don't know if you caught that, where people were asking who is a woman, and eventually we got an answer, even though not everyone seems to agree on that. But there's been that age-long question: what do women want? I know sometimes it sounds cheesy, maybe because of what Hollywood has done to it, but I think that's still the question on the minds of every man. What do women really want? And maybe I should just bring it home. How do women want to be celebrated? How do they want to be spoken to? How do they want to be viewed? there are men that try to do things and women take it as an offense. They say, I'm not handicapped, I'm not weak, I can do these things. So I don't know if you can help us this morning, ma'am.
I don't know.
Your experience will count here.
Oh boy, what do women want, Coyote? I think that, I don't think this is a question that can really be answered. Because you see, every woman is different. Every woman wants something different. You know, it's like saying, what is a woman's love language? We have discovered that there are several. So, you know, if you want to give me gifts, I may say thank you and just put it aside, you know. Perhaps what I really want is a good conversation. So what do women want? I think a woman wants to be appreciated for who she is, for what she does, for her personality. I think she wants to be given an opportunity to speak. I think she wants to be more than given an opportunity to speak. I think she wants to be heard. All right? I think she wants to be recognized as somebody who can be strong when she needs to be, can be soft when she needs to be, can be foolish when she wants to be, can be wise when she's called to be. I think a woman wants to be recognized as a mother at times, because you can't be a mother all the time. A wife at times, because you cannot be a wife all the time. A girlfriend at times, even if she's married, because she cannot be a wife all the time, or she should not be a wife all the time. A wife should sometimes be a girlfriend too.
Beautiful. It's a long list.
It is a long list, honestly.
I'm actually learning, I'm listening.
I'm amazed at the wisdom.
It is a long list, you know, because we are complex. You know, as human beings, we are complex. So it is for you to just put everybody in one basket and say, okay, this is what women want. Abi, take. It will not work. It won't work. If you're a man and you're in a relationship with a woman, you're going to have to invest time to really find out what is it that makes this particular woman tick. And when you do, well, you'll have her eating out of the palm of your hand.
I love that. So when you say invest in women, you need to invest time.
Absolutely.
That's one of the major things.
That is one of the major, yes, one of the major requisites. You have to invest time. Otherwise, you with this onion you're talking about, the outer skin will remain there. And there is no sharp knife that will cut it.
Wow.
Brilliant.
I'm amazed at the wisdom. Wow. You know, what would we do without the wisdom of the elders? Speaking of what women want, sometimes women want to pursue what they want regardless of the challenges, regardless of the odds. And you have been an inspiration over the years. You've not been without your challenges, but you've pursued your dreams. I know that you've been on to True Speak with Bimbo for some years now. And, you know, you've had some big names on that program. And you're hitting 70 in a few days.
Ooh, yeah.
What's it been like, you pushing on regardless of the odds that's stacked against you over the years?
I think my work is probably what has grounded me and kept me sane. It is the involvement with my core job and the offshoots of the job, because you know, being a broadcaster lends itself to a variety of other things, all right? So sometimes it is not that one is looking for certain things. It's not that you are pushing towards achieving this or that. Sometimes as a result of the core job that you're doing, other things come your way. Occasionally, there may be things that you've never done before, but you just feel, why not? Let me try it. You know, I mean, nothing ventured, nothing gained. Or there could be aspects of your personality that you would want to explore. So you dive into it. And so as a result of that, you find that over the years, you remain relevant in one way or the other. But somehow they are all aligned to the main root or the main foundation. And that foundation enables you to spread into different directions. So, as I said, it's sometimes it's up to you because you may decide that you want to go this way, and sometimes people come to you and you say, okay, let's do it.
So what's happening? 70 in a few days.
In a few days.
if we remember, would have brought a bit of maybe cake or so. It's not too late.
It's just in a few days.
You know, she talks about the complexities of the feminine composition. So we're looking at all the layers. So, Soma, you'll be 70. What's happening?
I decided that I'm going to celebrate it in a different way. I mean, there will be the cake cutting and, that sort of stuff, but I actually launched a fund. It's a fund, a cancer fund, actually. I want to raise funds, and I have a target of 100 million naira. I want to raise funds for research, cancer research, as well as buying equipment and accessories that will be made available to cancer patients in public hospitals on treatment days. That's my plan. So on that day, that fund, well, it's already been launched, actually, and some people have started, making some contributions, but it will be officially launched on that day, and then we'll party, I suppose.
Wow.
100 million naira is a big one. You're confident that you're going to hit it?
Yes, absolutely confident. I don't expect to hit it in one day, but having started it and seeing the response of people, they are excited about the idea. So now it's a question of putting your money where your mouth is, I guess. Yeah. We'll get there.
So many more questions to ask, which institutions will be beneficiaries and all of that. But I guess that, of course, we'll have another opportunity to have this interaction with you once again. Thank you so much, ma'am. We've been speaking with Mrs. Bimbo Oloyede, veteran journalist broadcaster. Thank you for being on the Morning Brief.
Thank you very much. And congratulations, guys. I've been enjoying the show. I've been watching, and it's a nice addition to the channels. What is it? Menu, bouquet.
All of that.
All of the above.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy
Very
birthday.
much. Thank you.
Speaking of channels bouquet, we have another beautiful part of that bouquet that we will unfold after this time out. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Morning Brief on Channels Television. And it's International Women's Day, you know. On this day, so much inspiration coming for women, the encouragement to make women feel beautiful and appreciated. And one of such that resonates with me is that women are nurturers and that they should take flight for their dreams. Apart from taking flight for their dreams, women can also fight for their dreams regardless of the odds. So what's the progress that women have made so far in the last 1 year, particularly since the celebration of the International Women's Day in 2023? So it's time to reflect on that. And to help us do that, we have joining us on the program today two women powerhouses. Join me as we welcome to the Morning Brief this morning, transformational coach and public policy advisor, Mrs. Debola Deji Kurumi. Welcome to the Morning Brief.
Thank you for having me.
We're honored to have you, ma'am.
Thank you.
And we also have joining us Mrs. Adobe Alex Oni. She is an entrepreneur. Welcome to the Morning Brief.
Thank you. Good morning. And good morning, viewers.
Yeah. So DDK, of course, we all know DDK. I'm going to start with you. It's important for us to reflect. In the last 1 year, what's the progress that women have made to nation building, particularly when we think about all of the issues that affect women, leadership, SGBV, what's the progress that we've made so far?
I love it. Excited to be here. Great work going on, and happy International Women's Day again. Reflections are powerful, and of course they can be very multidimensional across different parts of society. But from where I stand, the communities that I lead, the opportunities that I get to work with women, and to also observe the kind of traction that we're making, I could highlight a few remarkable arenas of growth, that we've seen. The first to be around women's leadership, not only in the expanded opportunities that women are getting to come into senior executive leadership opportunities, be part of decision making with corporate organizations, and even opportunities for political leadership, but in the way they're showing up. I'm finding many more women, even who are younger in their 30s, early 40s, who are, showing up and showing out, who are expressing their giftings and, sort of taking more determined positions in making a difference for society. A second thing I would love to really highlight is the power of the woman's voice. We're seeing more coalitions that are non-traditional in terms of, in the past we've explored advocacy as been a tool that we leverage in maybe non-profits, international developments, but we're seeing many more women coming together to stand up for what they believe in, using the power of the media to drive advocacy, and it's becoming really exciting. Maybe a third one would be around courageous entrepreneurship. We're seeing more women stepping out of corporate careers, and corporate careers are great, but it's exciting to find women standing behind their big ideas and, expanding opportunities for impact through entrepreneurship.
So the progress is not necessarily in elected and appointive offices, but
absolutely
in the corporate space.
Absolutely.
And that's,
in fact, for the kind of economy, for the kind of political systems that we have in Nigeria, we have to think about the power of leadership to extend beyond elective or selective political offices.
Amazing. What about you? Do you share similar thoughts?
I'll take it up from being an entrepreneur.
Right.
So for me, it's exciting. It's been exciting to be in a space where you love to do, or where you do what you love. It comes to you naturally. I mean, like the basic line for women is, they're nurturers, they're homemakers. It comes to us natural. So it's like when you're in a space that you love, you're creative, you can go beyond yourself and see things happen. And the good part is, maybe in the people in my generation, in my age, I'm talking about between maybe 40 to 50s right now, we are in a space where we're trying to catch up with these young women. They have some tool in their hands that, they go global. So you see, where people like me start from scratch, you have to think of, how do we get the funds to do this? But these girls have gone global. I mean, they don't have to have a physical store to sell. So you see people patronizing them. So for me, it's a powerful thing that right now there's a great hope It's no longer about women being shortchanged, or we don't have the financial muscle, we don't have the financial independence. Culturally, we're shortchanged, but they have changed the narrative. They are telling us, look, things are happening. And I'm glad to have joined, because at some time you see me, I'm like, oh, I don't know how to do this internet thing. And my son says, Mommy, please wake up.
Right.
You know, and because the business I run, we're heavy on social media, and that has helped. When COVID came, we didn't know what to do, we were lost. But guess what? That was the peak of our business. That was when we picked up. So for me, it's no longer about women getting the handouts. They are no longer part of the agenda. They're already sitting at the table. So it's interesting, it's sweet to hear each time we talk about women now, we highlight our strong points. We're no longer looking like, oh, how do we get this? I mean, it's so easy that even the financial world has realized that, look, these women, if we don't harness what they have, we might be losing a big portion of some group who will give us so much money, because now you have what you call movable collaterals. You don't have to have a house to borrow. You can use your wigs. People who have expensive wigs can use, you can use your jewelry. So it's fantastic that we're in an exciting time for women. And for me, I'm so happy that we highlight moments where women are no longer victims, but they actually sit at the table right now.
Amazing mindset change.
So,
Jeffrey.
I'm wondering, because I like numbers. First question, have women built that critical mass not to be ignored? Whether it's in entrepreneurship or in leadership, so it's questions to both of you. Have you built that critical mass not to be ignored? And what is the world and Nigeria positing it here missing out for ignoring if that critical mass is there and the country is not aware?
That's an excellent question. To explore the critical mass, I feel like a safe set of matrix to consider would not merely to look at the numbers in terms of volume, but also look at the collateral impact of those who show up. So beyond saying, is it 20% or 30% of women who are in their 30s to 50s are those who have access to, board leadership opportunities, or how many people sit within political leadership within a constituency, etc. But to also say, for those who have found their voices and those who are showing up through entrepreneurship, ministry, faith-based engagement, social impact, public policy, governance, whatever, how are they showing up? Along the lines of the numbers, we still can tell that on the continent of Africa, women are still underrepresented. That is the reality. But we are moving past the underrepresentation in numbers to sort of explore other metrics for how to tell that progress is happening. And we can see things like the caliber of young women showing up on the horizon, the caliber of older women showing up on the horizon. In fact, we have this interesting re-emergence of senior citizens who, like Adelbi is saying, are finding the power of media, the power of technology to reinvent possibilities for themselves beyond the limitations of age. So from where I stand, I do believe that there's been great progress. I believe that there has been an abundance of valuable knowledge that is causing women to unlock their genius and make greater investments in their expertise. And there's this rise of those that I love to call the future forward female, who are now in demand across healthcare, technology, education, and just all arenas of human endeavor. So that's how we're looking at it. We're also excited about the really younger women who are in the Gen Z zone, who are just boundless, because we treat them as natives of possibilities. What that means is they have been born into a world order where anything is possible and your talent is bankable. Those things are powerful. And they've taken away some of the barriers that stood in the way of women to access opportunities, access markets, access financial, resources. Now, some of the things that we thought were created by a patriarchal society were not necessarily created by a patriarchal society. They were just created by the limitations of economies, the limitations of markets, especially if you are a woman of African descent. So sometimes when you're feeling like they've given men all the power, it wasn't really about men having the power. It was about women maybe not accessing sufficient education, or not accessing sufficient expertise, or not accessing sufficient communities. Today we have communities that are themselves empowering, where even if you don't have all the insights you require to build a business, if you get, inducted into some entrepreneurial communities, you literally fast track your journey to business success by as much as between 25 and 40% in the course of 1 year. So are we there yet? Absolutely not. Are we where we used to be? Surely not. But if Nigeria or the African continent continues to still miss out on the half of its people, I can highlight 3 things that 100% will continue to happen. The first is that there will be no cultural champions within the corporations that we're building. One of the things that you find missing with the African continent is, especially on the entrepreneurial landscape, is the inability to build transgenerational businesses. The kind of things you find in the West, the kind of things you find in Asia, businesses that are 100, 200-year-old and have been on running, building legacies. When you want to build a legacy-driven transgenerational business, you need culture champions that continue to pass on, the core ideologies of its founders and continue to inspire creativity and genius. And women are naturals at that. So 100%, if we do not strengthen the investments that we make in women as the half of the population, we're not going to be able to build legacy champions and culture custodians within corporate institutions. We are relying significantly on entrepreneurship to trigger sufficient economic activity that can take us out of the gridlock that we found ourselves. So we need women stepping up in that way. Maybe I'll stop at a second, and it's around how the family system is still a very defining bedrock of cultural values and societal stability. And women have taken, that natural position based on nurture and nature to be those who preserve the homestead. Today, what you actually have happening is women are under significant pressure as economic contributors in families. And if we don't have policies that support reproductive rights, policies that support family planning, policies that support flexi working, remote working, and sort of just allow women, I'm still for women, able to serve in the family front. So if we find the policies, the corporate strategies that allow women to be nurturers within the home front, but still move forward with their dreams, like you were saying, take flight with your dream or fight for your dreams. If we have that balance happening, we're going to really be able to preserve a good heritage for society.
I kind of love this conversation. It's like a mini course of sorts, just taking us through. And it's brilliant because you have an overview. Governance, entrepreneurship, corporate, spirituality, and the rest. She's entrepreneurial, even with media as well. I don't know if I can call you AAO, borrow from her styling. GDK, AAO. Can we do that?
That's fine.
You love that, right? Yeah. So, you talked about the younger generation just, smashing things. And we have to give some credit really to the generation before that, whether we like it or not, because you're like building block. You may not have done it directly, you may not have mentored them directly, but they got to learn from you, maybe your mistakes or things that you did well. And I'd like both of you to speak to this. Maybe you might want to add to what she said, but if you were to speak to a lady, a woman today, and you want to give her a startup toolkit, to be a leading woman, what would be in that toolkit? Let's unbox it this morning.
First, confidence. Second, confidence. 3, confidence. Believe in yourself.
Right.
I can give you all the tools in the world and you do nothing with it. Like, for me, I like to tell my story because it's practical. When I started my business, it was just with a half bag of flour I had at home. And if Jide didn't show me that I could do something from what I like to do for them on Saturday mornings, I would make pancakes, fry eggs, sausage, feed them so heavy that by 12, they're not asking me they want lunch. So I was doing that, but not knowing that somebody was looking at it and saying, how tiring as a wife, you're the driver, you're the cook, you're the mother, you're everything. So I tried to manage my time, knowing that this time is my kryptonite. So I make that heavy breakfast on Saturdays and hoping that by 12:01, I would have had some rest. And so by the time I get back to the kitchen is, okay, fine. But, you know, Chide was looking at me like, this woman can make something from this.
Sorry.
And then, my husband, sorry.
Right, just to be clear. He for she, right?
Yeah. So he like saw this vision for him. And then so when he started talking about, you know, he's a wealth manager, he started talking about startup aquariums, and he said, Ada, I could actually start with you. I said, Jide, you started again. Leave this matter. How? For us, it wasn't fashion. It wasn't like, oh, we're tired of what to do. Our jobs were heavy. It was just, oh, a pastime. No. We're at the point where the kids were going off to secondary school. We had some financial struggles. And so we're looking at what do we do best. And that is why I said confidence. If you don't believe in yourself, no matter what I give you, you're not going to make anything out of it. So he said, Ada, let's just do this. Let's call our friends for starters and say, oh, we're opening a breakfast restaurant. And I'm like, Jide, but I thought of this, like when we retire, this will be our, you know, when the kids have gone off to start a new life, I don't have to be traveling up and down as grandma. I'll just sit down one place and be doing my stuff. And so we did that, you know, on a Friday morning. And he had this space in his office, and I came around, we did the pancakes, and friends came. And they were like, how much? I said, okay, 600 naira for a plate. And they said, oh, really? And so the pancake hop started. And funny enough, at the point that the kids were off from school, they will come serve in the kitchen as, you know, waiters. Jide will be sitting somewhere, collecting the money, and I will be in the kitchen happily smiling and cooking the food. That even one review, what they did was they said, oh, and the chef, obviously the wife, is busy smiling through flipping the pancakes, and the children are everywhere, and the man, you know, they keep us. So it was like something that we did together, and we loved it. And so when the money came, it was, oh God, thank you. But it sustained us because we had passion doing it. A lot of people said, oh, why don't you guys add other things? Why breakfast? And Jide said, no, Ada, we have to stick to this. It has to be breakfast. And so, I mean, for you to have the tool is to have the willpower to. I've cried so many times on that business, so please don't think it's all rosy.
You confidently cried.
There's been times, yes. In fact, sometimes I've lost my confidence, though. I must be truthful.
Whoa.
There are times like, is this thing working? Are you sure? Some days you come, no customers turn up, and he just keeps saying, Ada, hold on. Some days are like this. I say, are you sure? Sometimes by one, nobody. I'm like, okay, you know what, guys? Just turn on the gas. Let it be that fire. You know, we touched something today here. So the thing is, the young women of today are stronger. They need no tool. The tools are in their hands, because before you tell them anything, they already know what you want to tell them. And it's a beautiful thing that the internet is showing us so much. But at the same time, it's also going to be our doom if we don't take time, because people go way overboard. You know, see, because you think when you're in that space, you're invincible. So you can do anything you like, say anything you like, and think it has no consequences. But when they come back to haunt you, you either in 1 second bring down everything you've built. So for me, I would say that it is important to be cultured. It takes me back to what she's saying. If you're not grounded from the family, do whatever you like.
Two C's.
You're not going to make
confidence,
it.
culture.
Culture.
Jide, what's your toolbox like?
Oh gosh, Ada, be well done. Enjoying the conversation so much. From where I stand, I feel a bit differently about some of the things I'm observing with younger women. Quite excited, like I've described them. They're natives of possibilities, and they're in a space where the world is for the taking. A few things I have in that toolbox, and I've been actively coaching several thousands of women yearly, and we're finding that some of these conversations are really defining in shaping how they move forward. The first is around authenticity. It's so critical to start to transition from social stereotypes to purpose prototypes. We're in a time where...
Say that again.
Transitioning from social stereotypes to purpose prototypes.
Yeah.
Yes. So leaning into your soul signature, leaning into your life's calling, leaning into your unique archetype. the person that you are by original design. You know, the gift of the media is that you can own a voice and have a platform to express your passion and your views, but the cruelty or the tyranny of the media is that you can be made in the image of another person. You just have to set an image before your eyes long enough till it becomes an idol. This is an age-long principle, and it leads to what is called identity theft. So I find so many young women who have set before themselves an image of older women or icons globally, and they have tried so hard to become a person that they are not. Where your power really lies is in living true to self. It's in aligning your actions to your values and behaving your belief. The reason it matters is if you don't behave your belief, you're going to ultimately despise and loathe who you are. So the opposite of authenticity is not fakeness, it's not inauthenticity, it's actually self-loathing, it's self-aggravation, not being able to stand yourself when you are with yourself. So there are many young women who have images of who they want to be by just taking the externalities of these people that they admire without really leaning into who they are to say, who would I prefer to be? What kind of family do I want to build? What kind of marriage do I want to have? What kind of brand would I prefer to build? And when I'm in my 40s or when I'm in my 60s, what nature of institution of a person would I prefer to have become? So I would say start out where you are, look at models and mentors, but ensure that you are also on a journey to authenticity. This is big deal. The second thing I would like to highlight is to sort of take at the jugular the campaign of the soft life. There's a soft life campaign that is going to ultimately hurt young women, where it's all about live your life as though you're permanently on vacation and try so hard to tell the world that you've got everything going for you. And even though you're young, you're already a boss lady. The boss lady concept is very unhealthy and injurious to femininity and being a nurturer. You are a woman. A woman is a nurturer. And I feel like I have earned my place to be able to say that because I've grown a multi-subsidiary corporation that is impactful globally as a young woman. So I'm not, a broke, tired, afraid, stuck woman somewhere who is just saying, look, I'm afraid of those who want to go out there and do big things. Do big things, but do it from a place of the unwillingness to trade your femininity, your love for family, your submission to systems that God has designed to make the world work. So I would say there's something with the soft life that is unsafe. You have 23-year-old girls who want to wear what a 48-year-old successful woman is wearing, drive the kind of car she's driving, and travel the countries she's traveling. When a young girl or a young woman is under that kind of pressure, she's going to do what she doesn't need to do, feeling like the natural process of life is too slow for her, whereas she's where she's supposed to be at that age. The third would be around investing in catalytic empowerment, and that is, forgive the use of the big words. I get called out for it a lot, but general gist, invest in growth. The books you need to read, the causes you need to access, the communities you should belong in. Treat yourself as an asset and leverage yourself. Ask yourself continually, what is it going to take to unlock the next level of my genius and make that investment? Just the same way you'd put your money in stocks or mutual funds or real estate. Put yourself in the context that unlocks the next level expertise that you need to show up powerfully in the world.
Wow, Kaide, you're right. I'm going to call this edition an education on how to contribute to nation building as a woman. And it may be planned, but it's totally unscripted. And I'm learning so much from your toolboxes this morning. But it would be remiss of us to have this edition without talking about sexual and gender-based violence. We have recorded some progress in the last 1 year with some prosecutions, but I wonder if that progress is majorly out of what has been reported, not necessarily what abounds that we're not seeing already. DDK, I know that you inspire women not just on the national level, but on the international level, and you have some knowledge base there, and this goes to you as well, as a woman. Do you find that religious and traditional institutions are complicit in making women, see bad relationships, as a calling to martyrdom, and seeing, underage marriage as traditional. And how can we change that that mindset? Because for you to have women as nation builders, you have to have them emotionally healthy and physically healthy. So I'm starting with you, DDK.
That's such a great question. Is a space where I carry a burden as well. I don't have all the answers, and I know that there are specialists who sit into these spaces because of their work, their research, etc. From where I stand, there are about 3 things I could highlight that I find really defining in terms of how we're looking at those considerations around gender-based violence, sexual offenses, and women in marriages that are abusive, oppressive, and repressive. The first, and I would love to agree with you as a person of faith, I say it with caution, with sobriety, but I find indeed that religious and religious institutions are often complicit. Now, if I even explore the way that we portray or sometimes preach the Christian faith message, you may find that a woman who grew up in the church may feel a sense of obligation to stay in a marriage almost onto the point of death, because she has this belief that there's a requirement of submission that becomes subjugation unconsciously. But that is actually not the truth concerning the Christian faith and the Christian message. But there's a way that it's been taught over time. There's also an unconscious burden that is placed on the woman as the one who is the homemaker, the home builder, that if she's wise, she has to figure a way to build the home against all odds. And it many times absolves the men of the requirement of leadership, of mentorship, of covering and guidance. Whereas being a husband is drawn from the concept of husbandry, which is around grooming and nurturing and bringing out the best to fruition in that person that you're grooming. So to the extent of the caliber of conversations that have been widespread and proliferated, the church or religious institutions, we could be complicit. I also find that because spiritual leaders have such significant degree of power, but it hasn't been matched with sufficient specific expertise in counseling. I feel like religious leaders should typically also seek out opportunities to be certified as counselors, to be able to unpack issues, understand stereotypes and patterns that are unhealthy, and make wise judgment on issues, because a significant percentage of those who are within religious institutions look up to their leaders to make the most defining decisions in their lives. But moving from what I have observed and why I consider religious institutions complicit, I will go straight on to the question you're asking around what could we do differently. The first is to continue to make the investments in the women themselves. This thing is powerful. There's a way that sometimes we feel like the conversation is always about the woman. Like, what about the men? I asked that question myself as well. But one of the things that drives the work that I do, providing empowerment to women, is because I have found women who were bound in repressive situations and were able to come out and save their families, save their children, get out of that abuse simply because they saw themselves differently. So every time a woman stays in abuse, there's identity distortion. So keep making the investment in the women. Before society shifts, policy shifts, religious institutions shift, even though I can't get to some thoughts I have of what they could do differently, make sure you help a woman see herself, put in her hands the tool to stand alone so that she doesn't have to be bound in abuse.
Thank you, DDK. I mean, you kind of summarized what society should do. But for me, being a mom of 2 teenagers, I always try to look at it from the point of family. And being a person of faith, to an extent, that's my family too. So sometimes what I take home from the sermon or from the preaching for that day, I reflect in my family. I work with an organization called the JDPC in my parish, and we'll go out to talk about drug abuse, substance abuse, and then you find out that you have 10-year-old children who are into drug abuse. Sometimes the parents of these children are approached and we talk to them, and they agree to come for counseling. But guess what? They don't show up because why? Their neighbors are going to laugh at them. The people in church are going to see their children as the worst of all. And we tell them no child is immune to bad behavior, no matter how strongly you have raised yours. So for me, I think the work should not be left to the women alone. It should start from even our traditional rulers. Some norms and beliefs that we have, they are very strongly with us. And if we don't start to rethink, talk about these things from the grassroots levels, from the homes. The churches are big. I mean, the big people come to church and just listen and go home. But from schools in the villages, from markets, you know, that you empower a woman is all about telling her, look, you know, when something happens, speak up. It's not so much as in sitting down and saying, oh, we have to do this, we have to do. No, it's knowing that she has the trust that when she speaks up, something will happen. You said something big. You said, is it that things have been achieved and not seen? Yes, because a lot of times, even when the good deeds have been done, people are afraid to own up to them because of stigmatization. And until we come out of that league, until we come out of that mindset, like I said, my mother would tell me, close one eye in your marriage. But children of these days, they opened all the eyes. And so I might not be in a position to tell my child, close one eye. So that is the good. I like to highlight the strong points. That is the good thing we have going for us. We're all enlightened now, but at the same time, let us not just say it's a woman thing. The men too should get into the habit of grooming, and being supportive. You know, don't just see it as a competition where your wife is trying to do something. Or I'm just talking to everybody generally out there. You have to be very supportive and being into it.
All right. 30 seconds each for both of you on this one. I've listened to all of the very deep insights you brought to the table. But I'm concerned about positional leadership. The president came on board on May 29th and said, subsidy is gone. Nigeria has been vibrating since then. That's how powerful the office of a president or a political leader is. Now, one of the things I personally see that is missing in leadership generally run by men is empathy, which women have in abundance. So what's the hack for women to get to these spaces? 30 seconds. I know it can be difficult, but 30 seconds.
We'll try.
Coalitions. We have to rally behind an agenda, and beyond the divides of tribe, religion, or political affiliations, going on into the next dispensation that brings leaders into office, we have to begin to prepare ahead of that. And if women come into a coalition based on gender and values, there's a lot that we can do to push them in.
30 seconds.
Yeah, for me, I think it's all about being aware of the power you have as a woman, of the strength that you can bring, of what you can bring to the table. Because these men, the presidents, obviously somebody's son, right? Whoever that is commissioner, minister is somebody's child. So if I can't be at that table, I can influence somebody who's going to be at that table to think that, look, if I bring more women on board, things could change. So the empathy you talk about, a woman can get there and not have the empathy. That's the truth of the matter. But if we begin to sound this warning, sound this message, groom our children, I can't speak for adults, but I can speak for children that are yet to get there. Look, when you get there, know that this person is your sister, is your wife, is your mother, and deserves some respect.
All right.
Everything for me boils down to the home.
Quickly, I'd like you to answer short answers. What a man can do, a woman can do better. Do you agree?
We can do very well, both.
All of those things. Behind every successful man is a...
Is it better? No, it's beside.
I want us to deal with all of those sayings. They always come up.
Are you talking about the hard jobs, the hard tasks, engineering?
No, just generally.
Engineering,
it's not that deep. It's not that deep. It's
behind every successful man is a
No, it's not behind again. It's beside.
So now it's beside. I just want us to address these things as a
but is it in contention really?
It's
sometimes
contention.
It's not. Where it's just you're the head, we're the neck. If we move, where do you go to? God bless
Do you agree with that?
Not necessarily. Right. These things are not black and white like that.
Right. So find what works for you.
Beside every successful man is really just about an empowering other person who could be their father, their mother, brother, sister, husband, or wife, associate, co-founder. That's how I see it.
Now, one word. What do women want?
What do women want? That is the toughest question you could be asking me in this room.
And we don't have the time for all
We don't have the time for it.
No one word answer to that.
No one would answer on
No
that
one wise word answer to that.
Let me try, because this is a valuable platform.
Yeah.
What do women want? Well, there might be many things they want. One thing is, I feel, would be latitude, room to be. The constraints are too many. Anytime you encounter a woman, give her latitude. Let her express herself. Give her room. You know, remove the labels and the boxes. Let her be. And you'll be amazed what she'll be when you allow her be.
Awesome, amazing. You know, we started by saying that we're different, but there's nothing that we cannot do without each other. Men leadership, women partnership. So we go so far together, but when we go alone, we don't go, you know, we don't cover much space. It's been awesome having you on the program. Thank you so much. We'd like to thank you. AAO and DK.
Thank you very much.
AAO entrepreneur, Mrs. Adobe Alex Oni, entrepreneur. Thank you so much for being on the program, for your contributions. And we also thank you very much, Mrs. Debola Deji Kurumi, transformational coach and public policy advisor. Thank you so much.
My pleasure for being here.
And we look forward to having you again.
Absolutely.
And happy International Women's Day.
Thank you very much. Same to you.
Happy International Women's Day.
Thank you, Kennedy.
Thank you.
Happy International Women's Day. Let's not be like we didn't say it. We said it.
Lovely.
And so up next, a softer and more colorful side of things, but it's still International Women's Day. So stay with us. You don't want to miss it. Welcome back to the Morning Brief, and in today's edition, all we're doing is celebrating women. And you know, we said earlier, what would the world be without some color that the women bring to the table? And speaking of color, we have some color on the show this morning as we welcome Tolumide Yeboah, Nigerian Canadian singer, songwriter, who's going to be gingering us this morning with some soul.
Yes, indeed.
Welcome, Tolumide.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so honored to be here, especially on this special day. Celebrating women. So yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
We're glad to have you too. So let's start with International Women's Day.
Yes.
You know, for every woman, it's a special day, and we have our personal reflections. What are your reflections on this day?
For me, it's a lot of progress, advancement, and opportunities for us women. We are doing a lot in the household, also having to work. But I see us really excelling, and I see, compared to what we used to do before, being in the house, we're now doing a lot more. We're in a more diverse range of industries. So for myself, I just recently got elected to be governor for the Grammys Recording Academy DC chapter board.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So much. I'm so honored. And, you know, I've been a voting member for about 10 years, well, now 11 years. And in the board itself, the last two presidents we've had have been women. So I share that to say that, you know, I'm inspired, and I see a lot of progress in leadership as well, of women really stepping in the forefront with their gifts and talents, and, you know, kind of stepping toe-to-toe with, you know, our dear gentlemen. So I'm really excited about the future and what we have to offer. You know, we certainly hold a lot in our hands, and we share a lot. So yeah, I'm really excited.
Speaking of holding a lot in your hands, you hold a lot in your hands, yes. Tolumide. You're not just a singer, you're also a journalist of some sort. You've worked with the Voice of America as a graphic designer.
Yes,
so
yes.
Tell us about that part of you.
Well, it's I do that concurrently with music. Music really is my second career, and so as a graphic designer, I've been in the industry for about a little over 20 years. I started off at the local Fox station, commercial station, and then I transitioned to doing more military news, Pentagon Channel News, and then eventually got to Voice of America. So I'm glad that I've been able to kind of see media through different, either commercial, the federal, and with Voice of America, it's been such a just such a nourishing and refreshing experience because I'm with the Africa department, and you know, they broadcast in so many languages, and I've been able to go through all the different services, and I've been able to go through all the different services and dialogue with a lot of the different nationals from different countries represented. Certainly the Hausa language services very well represented. We have Bambara, we have the French to Africa, we have English to Africa, which already collaborates with channels, you know, as you know. So I'm just delighted to be in the space of media. It also fills me. I'm still in the creative space. It's just, it may not be musically, but I'm able to also put in some input if there's ever need to. In dialogue, you know, for okay, this I think this graphic will work well because we're speaking to this audience in Africa, you know. So I'm able to use my
own
experience. So
you're at the table, you have a voice at the table
I
of
do
sorts,
have a voice
so you have representation.
Yes, I do have representation, and it's also a collaborative effort. All of us sitting at the table to see what we can do. I mean, for me, in TV's graphics, but sometimes I do get called to, you know, we have a show coming up on an issue. We'd like you to come and join us and, you know, be interviewed for the show. So I believe even though I'm somewhat behind the scenes, I do have opportunities, and which I'm grateful for, to be able to kind of speak up and share and dialogue as well from my own perspective, and of course from my Nigerian African perspective as well. So
well, I have a couple of questions for you, but I'm trying to decide in my mind so that, because we're racing against time.
Okay.
So let me start with the first one. Let's speak to your music.
Okay.
Tell us about that particular song that we played before we started talking to you. What was it really all about? What were you trying to convey in that particular song?
In that song. So the title of that song is Throwback. And I had written it a few years ago and finished it really during the pandemic time when I was flipping through a lot of videos and photos and, you know, old videos of even me skating, because I started skating when I was really young at 4. And I just felt like, wow, this is, I'm just so delighted about memories, good memories, and I felt a lot of people share in that experience of just loving the times when things were so simple. When you're young, you don't have that many bills, you know, and you're not as much cares in the world, you know. I mean, I went to University of Lagos Staff School. Then I went to, you know, Atlantic Hall Secondary School. So I was here for quite some time, and so I just wanted to write about the simpler times of life and encourage everyone to kind of also look at those memories and let that nourish your soul and your mind as you go through. If you know, because we can't, you know. I would love for everything to be perfect. But unfortunately, sometimes you just have challenges of life, and it's just human. It will happen. So to tap into, you know, moments that just bring you joy, to just ease the mind and just bring you back to just, okay, realizing that, you know, the storm will not last forever, and I'm going to kind of keep going. So Ayola means, you know, of course, you know, Ayo is joy. So
Ola is...
well, with riches. I know some people say, depending on how you pronounce it, Ola, you know, tomorrow, but, you know, in this context as well. So
and since it's art anyway, whatever it says to you, just take it. Beautiful video, I should say.
Yes.
But I know you're really big on your hair.
Yes,
Tolumide, some of us have hair physically, some of us have spiritually or imaginally. But what's it about the hair? Talk to us about why you're big on hair. I know for a lot of people it's identity. You're African as well. It says a lot about who you are and where you're from. But what is it for you, the hair matter?
The hair matter, well, it's a good way for me to transition to the second song.
Exactly, which is Irumi.
Yes, which is Irumi, Naturally Me. And so when I wrote Naturally Me, it was me just wanting, well, for myself, certainly wanting, you know, feeling like however way I present myself, whether it's, you know, with my afro or with my braids or straight, that's how I naturally feel beautiful. I naturally visually see myself, and it was so an encouragement really to the ladies and also the gentlemen, you know, but really ultimately it was just to kind of encourage everyone how you choose to style yourself, you know, And hair is such a crucial, visual part of our identity. That's what makes you naturally beautiful. That's what makes you feel naturally you. That's what makes me feel naturally me. So I started the journey to, having my afro, and then I was like, oh, I actually like braids. And so I started wearing braids, and I felt, okay, yeah, this is naturally me. And I might transition to something else 10 years later, but for now, braids is how I feel. And so in the chorus of the song, I list various hairstyles just to also educate and about the various ways that we do style hair. Because ultimately, too, as I'm writing, I'm constantly thinking of what am I sharing? What can I share that, really Africans, Africans in diaspora, or really anyone around the world can learn something about our culture. So that's really what Naturally Me is about.
Kayode, you've been asking, about what women want. I think you should add this to the list that you're building already, in your study of women.
So there's this, absolutely, there's this request to listen to some part of our song.
Okay.
So let's do that.
What we see here, so help us understand the concept.
So the concept is how you choose to style your hair is naturally you.
Oh.
How you choose to style your hair is naturally you. Yes, natural, symbolically, if people think of afro and, okay, you're not doing anything, you're not adding any perms or doing anything, but for me, in the context of this song, in the context for myself too, because I'm writing for myself usually first and then thinking, okay, who else is going to vibe from this, these lyrics that I put together? And so it was, yes, I do have natural hair, but I like to style it in different ways. And that still makes me, that doesn't mean that I'm not naturally presenting myself. It's still, and sometimes you decide to style, and sometimes people go to the salon and say, what do you think? Which style will fit myself, And so sometimes it is someone also giving you ideas of, okay, why don't you try a ball? Why don't you try, having it curly? Why don't you just leave it out and, just have a nice afro? So
why don't you just cut it off?
Why don't you just cut it off? Exactly. That's his style. And that's naturally you, too.
Thank you.
I mean, sometimes even medically, there's some women that have to shave it off. And I want them to also feel naturally beautiful, even if it wasn't what you intended, even if you have to shave it off because you're going through a medical situation. However, you still present yourself, even if it's bald or even if it's cut short, it's still your own.
As long as you feel beautiful.
Yeah, because you're
very quickly,
confident in your beauty as well.
As we coast home gradually, listening to you feels like soul, but I've heard you say that you started off as a backup singer in a reggae band.
Yes, so
is there a nexus between how you have emerged and reggae? And perhaps, you could also sing something for us, depending on what time says.
Yes, well, I definitely feel my journey has been divine. I sang a lot in church. I went to Anglican Church with my dear parents, Anglican Church of Ascension, and then I sang a lot in primary school. I was singing with my traditional attire, dancing with my, I just always was singing, of course, in the choirs and then in school. And so when I moved to the States, actually not States, when I went to Canada, I did go to the States for a little bit, but eventually when I went back to Canada for uni, I got a side job working in a hair salon. And while I was working there, the sister of my manager was a band leader. And so she came in one day and said, I'm looking for a singer for my band. So one of the, other hair stylists said, Tolu can sing. So right there, I said, okay, sing. So I auditioned, and then I got the part to join in as a backup vocalist. And she's Jamaican, and for me it was, this is me fresh from, high school and secondary school, and okay, I'm now part of a music group. But my experience there certainly forged who I am today, because I started off, this was all women, all women, female, and this is dancehall reggae, so the energy was vibing. I had to learn a lot, really the patois, I had to learn the tonations and sing, sing with passion. And so my experience there for 5 years, is what, kind of shaped who I am now, because when I moved and started working, left school and left the band, only really because I moved to the States to work as a graphic designer in television. I said, I have to do something with this music. So I was literally just on the computer designing graphics, and I said, God, okay, this music, I can't let it die. I gotta do something. I said, then I started writing. What do I like to do? Okay, I like to sing, I like to travel, I like to help people, I like to help community, I like to promote culture and my African heritage. So I just said, you know what, just do this music thing. Okay. So I just started songwriting, didn't know where to start, but one song, and then 2 albums, and then 3 albums, and then
and on that album notes, we're going to wrap it up. So, but we can't leave you can't leave us without, even if it's 10 seconds, just your song, just a line of your song. Okay. Maybe looking at this camera.
Yeah, or a chorus. Or a chorus.
Just a line.
So I could, well, let me share about hair. My hair, you, is naturally me. Naturally me. Everything you see, all that's within me, is everything I be. Naturally me. Tolumide, me. Everything you see, everything that I choose to be. Our hair, every one of us. Every one of us. Yes, even if it's not here, it's here, and it's naturally.
Thank you so much.
The one beneath is natural.
Yes, it's naturally.
Thank you so much, Tolumide, singer-songwriter, for coming on the program. Thank you. We appreciate you. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you. I'm so grateful to be here.
I wish you the very best on
Thank
your journey.
you so much. Looking forward to many more moments like this.
That's it. It's a weekend edition of the program. It's International Women's Day. We told Bukola, that's why we put her at the center. You can see her there. On the side. So it's today, she's in charge. We just reported to work. But we tried, Abby. I'm Jeffrey.
Well, I must thank my guys for being he for she's again. I'll always thank them. Thank you, Kayode and Jeffrey. Join us again same time next week for another round of super editions of the Morning Brief on Channels Television. I am Bukola Koka.
I'll be a typical Nigerian. I say don't mention. Okay. I'm tired of you. Bye-bye. Goodbye.